But we are. तुमने भी की हुई है. Theology Center and Lalit also perhaps.
In Chandigarh it is warm, slightly warm. Prerna, you can call her if she's having a problem. You can just call her.
So we are live on Zoom, sir. Live on YouTube. Sorry. You're muted, Vivek sir. Vivek sir, you're muted. And Lalitji, do we want to record this as well? Because this is not getting recorded, I suppose.
Yes, sir. We want to record it.
So Janki ma'am has joined, sir. Welcome you, ma'am. Very good evening.
So we are live on YouTube as well as Zoom, so we may formally start.
Hello, sorry to interrupt. Janki ma'am is in panelist, in attendees list. So Lalit sir
needs to be upgraded.
To promote. Host need to promote her.
Promoted. I promoted her.
Yes, Prerna, you can begin now. Dr. Prerna?
Yes, sir. So, very good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Prerna Bhardwaj, and on behalf of Yogananda Center for Theology, I welcome you all. I welcome all the divine people today who have joined us to learn and understand the science of spirituality. So, it is well said by the God-realized masters like Paramahansa Yogananda ji, everything else can wait, but your search for God cannot wait. Also, this says, live your life to your fullest, but know who actually you are. Know your best version, which is still hidden inside you. So to grace the event, we have among us honorable guest speaker, who is Vedanta philosopher, Dr. Janki Santokeji. Ma'am, I welcome you. Our honorable Chancellor, Shulini University, and patron, Yogananda Center for Theology, Professor P.K. Khosla. Welcome you, sir.
Thank you.
Vice Chancellor, Professor Atul Khosla. Mrs. Suroj Khosla, President and Founder. Chairperson of Yogananda Center for Theology, Mr. Vivek Atre. Welcome you, sir. All the dignitaries, all the dean directors, faculty members, staff, and youth of India, that is all the students, I heartily welcome you on the behalf of Yogananda Center for Theology. Yogananda Center for Theology is being established on 5th of January 2021 and is located in the premises of Yogananda Library of Shulini University. And the day of the establishment of the center coincides with the birth anniversary of Shri Shri Paramahansa Yogananda ji. So this center is basically focused on various research patterns, publications, short-term courses, and various playful events. And recently on 10th of March, we have organized a logo competition. And today at the end of this session, we will be declaring the result. Also the webinars. So today the center has organized the first webinar entitled The Science of Spirituality. So to do the honors, sir, Chancellor, sir, Professor P.K. Khosla, may I request you to speak a few words and bless us. Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, Prerna, to introduce the purpose of the Theology Center that we have recently established at Shulini University under the chairmanship of Mr. Vivek. So now Madam Janki is here. She is the key speaker for the purpose. So I'm just to introduce, as I think, what is theology? I'm not a science student of religion. I'm only a student of science. From my personal experience, I think all sciences cater to the human body, or at the most, the human mind, but rarely anything touches the human spirit. Obviously, we are I would say, uh, for us, three things are important. We should be healthy, and we should be having sound mind, and we should have uh, our soul should be nurtured. Many times this question comes to us: whatever you may do, whatever religion you may belong, who am I, from where I have come, where I will go? These are obviously the important questions. Especially for a person like me who comes from a family which was religious, spiritual, but that then there were two instances. One, my younger brother used to talk about the past birth, and we confirmed it was a case of reincarnation. We checked it, went to the village he was born, where he was while traveling with his father on a bicycle. There was an accident which he told as a small boy. Father fell on the he fell on the roadside, and whereas the father out of the roadside, and the boy didn't remember anything more than that. And everything that he so told got verified. He's 12 years younger than me. So there is no doubt in my mind. There is something beyond it. It's not that we grow in career, become scientists, we do this thing. Oh, those are only material happiness and successes and ego and other things. Second was life-death experience of my father. My father had become very sick. Temperature was not going down, shooting to 104, Fahrenheit to even sometime upward. And doctor said, now call the family members. I was then doing my PhD Punjab University, Chandigarh. Uh, Sometime around 67 or 68, I don't remember the exact period. So I was also called. The same night, my father got up and said he was perspiring. He called my mother. He said, I am not the person to go. There is the Jamraj has come. He tells me that you go back. We don't want you. We want another Ratan Chand, who is Ratan Chand Jain. Oh, that house was three doors in the street from our house. So my younger brother ran and checked that, and there were people were crying there, and Ratan Chand Jain had left. So these questions always used to come to my mind. Yeah, what is this life? Then when I grew up, but that was the time I didn't ask much because my perception about things was also not very clear. He was telling that Jamraj Aaye, and he was sitting on a male buffalo and took me. There was very glistening light there, and he said, "Oh, we don't want this Ratan Chand, send him back, and we want Ratan Chand Jain." Few things are. Then I happened to read a book, the Life After Death by Dr. Moody. Oh, he gives many instances. What are the common point? He regarded those people who die and talk about their after death experiences, or they are dying and they are telling their experiences. Afterward, they leave the body. The soul goes out. Oh, all those really, the 4 or 5 things which he told we has written is something from some energy from the feet goes upward and goes on, and finally makes it exist through your third eye, and then from the dark zone you enter into the glistening bright light. Then you hover over your body. You want to talk to them, and but they're not really listening to you. So you also lose interest in your body, and then you go and this and that. So these things has always uh, remained with me as a part of my hidden life, even from a student to a manhood, to the professional life, and then entering into uh, spiritual life, because I happened in 1992 at the age of 52 to read the book Autobiography of a Yogi. And the one instance which I opened the book and which I read, that was about Mr. Um, the there was an instance of why was moving with his mother. Swami Vivekananda was moving on the road to go for his the important lecture in Chicago, and that boy tells his mother, Dixon, mother, this is a gentleman who saved me while I was drowning. And the family goes in the hall, And after the lecture, Swamiji tell him, briefly, I'm not your guru is born in India. That was the time Yogananda was born. And he said, one day he will come to US, he will give you a silver cup. So rest is story, this boy, Yogananda goes to US and there makes a disciple, he becomes his disciple. All the years he was thinking of the silver cup. The silver cup was not coming. So 1935, Yogananda came to India for 16 months and during a return he collects gifts for his prime disciples and his what the Mr. Dixon gets is a silver cup. I always thought, what is this? What is this science? So my mind went towards uh, this thought process of searching my guru. Then I came to know my guru is Yogananda, and because somewhere it is written in his passage that it's not you want the living guru. You can, I will take care of all my disciples, even from the astral or the causal world. So all these things have been interesting me. I know because all Hindus from childhood they are brought up in the knowledge of rebirth or all those things. They know more because Hindu religion is a philosophy. It is not a religion made by some person. All other global religions are whether it is Islam or Christianity, they are named or they are come after individuals. So the center of the theology is not going to talk about the different religion. We have to talk about the aims and missions and philosophy of all religions. So with that mission, we have the Theology Center, and we hope under the leadership of Dr. Mr. Vivek Athare, we will be able to do full justice. And congratulate Dr. Prerna that she is organizing the first webinar, the beginning of the Center of Theology. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. I welcome everybody.
Thank you so much, sir. The whole team was working very hard for this first webinar, and I hope this will definitely will boost up all of us. Thank you so much. So before we start the webinar, I request each and every person attending this webinar to please, thode time ke liye, you can forget your all thoughts, whatever your materialistic thoughts are. This webinar will be a really awakening for you all people, because we have a guest speaker, uh, Dr. Janki Santoke ji, who is a Vedanta scholar, teacher, speaker, author in Vedanta Institute, Mumbai, Maharashtra. And she, about her experiences, she has 3 decades, more than that. She's under the corporate training sessions you used to take. Then she has authored one book, How Do You Know What You Know? She is delivering so many talks worldwide as well as in India too. Various video talks are also there in YouTube channel. So we are, and the most important, ma'am says that we can be successful and happy and evolving at the same time. Vedanta shows the way. So over to you, ma'am, now.
Thank you. So today our topic is science of spirituality. It's a very, very interesting topic, and I'm very glad to be here to talk about it. But since we are in an academic institution, since we would like to do this in a methodical manner, let's try and figure out what are all these terms firstly. What is science? Let's begin with that. What is a science? So science has been defined by various people in various ways, but the most appealing definition seems to be one that is a systematic, rational body of knowledge. It uses tools such as observation, experimentation, and reason. Of course, there are other definitions which require physical proof and all, but I think in the light of today and all the great advances that we have made, maybe that's not so relevant anymore. So what is science? A systematic and rational body of knowledge. What is spirituality? Spirituality means something to do with spirit. To do with spirit. Usually we call this religion, but religion now has got a bad name. So most people have shifted to the word spirituality. But let us just understand what is religion itself. The English word religion comes from two Latin words, religare. Re, as you know, means again, and ligare means to join. So what is religion? It is a process of rejoining. What are you going to rejoin to? Obviously something that we have separated from. And what is it that we have separated from? Is that spirit within us. So religion is the process of rejoining. The Sanskrit word yoga, as you know, comes from the word yuj, which again means to join back to our original source. So science we know, spirituality we've understood, and religion in its original meaning means going back to that original source, to the spirit. But what has happened over a long period of time is that religions have got something else as well. Religions, broadly speaking, have got three characteristics. Number one, the rituals of that religion. Every religion has its own rituals. Hindus have maybe havans or maybe some pujas. Christians have what happens at Mass. Muslims have their own. Parsis have their own. Sikh Gurudwaras. Everybody has their own sort of rituals. And religions have a second thing, which is the mythology. Every religion tells a story. This is the mythology of that religion. And the third aspect of religion is its philosophy. The rituals and the mythology differs from religion to religion. But the philosophy of all religions is exactly the same, because it is based on eternal truths. Every religion has the same philosophy. Its rituals, its mythology, it's all different because they came up at different times to cater to different needs by different prophets who explained in whatever way they explained. But it was all an explanation of the same original philosophy. So what is religion? Is nothing but a combination of the rituals, the mythology, and the philosophy. Now, what is the philosophy aspect of this? The philosophy aspect of this is an understanding of the basic fundamentals of life, the actual fundamentals. That's what philosophy studies. It is the love of knowledge. What are these fundamentals about life? In the tradition I come from, which is Vedanta, there is a technical usage. It is called shruti and shruti. Shruti refers to the philosophical aspect. This is true for all people at all times. And smriti refers to the opinion of a prophet given to a particular set of people at a particular period of time for their evolution. So whatever Shruti says is eternally and permanently true. Whatever Smriti says, Smriti means what you remember, the instructions that you have been given, the do's and don'ts. These change with time and place. So Shruti is that aspect of a religion which is always true. It will never change. And Smriti are the instructions and everything else the prophet gives us for our evolution. Think of it something like this. If Shruti was MBBS, then the prescription our doctor gives us is the Smriti. So what happens is we start fighting with one another because my doctor gave me one prescription, your doctor gave you another prescription, and now we are fighting whose is best, and we want to give our prescription to each other. That's where all the confusion comes from. But when we understand the base knowledge itself, you immediately begin to see how everybody is saying exactly the same thing. An example of shruti. Let's take an example in science. Shruti in science is what, let's say, an object is attracted to the center of Earth at 32 feet per second square. This is true for all people at all times. It's not going to change. But when you tell a child, don't walk on the parapet wall of the 13th story of your building, now this is smriti. It comes from the shruti. It comes from the eternal. But it is not applicable to all people at all periods of time. Why not? In the past, it was not applicable because there were no 13-story buildings. In the future, we have no idea what will happen, but it is applicable today. We cannot have children doing that. So this is the shruti and the smriti aspect of religion. Today, we are talking about the science of spirituality. Hence, we are going to talk about the shruti aspect. The eternal laws, which are always true for all people at all times. It will not change where you were born, when you were born, won't change. It will always be true. So what does this philosophy teach us? Before I go into it, I think maybe we should stop for a moment to just talk about what knowledge you're hearing today. You're hearing the knowledge of Vedanta, which is a Shruti literature. Vedanta is nothing but a collection of all the laws of life. It comes from 3 textbooks mainly, the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, and the Brahma Sutras. Since this knowledge of life, the philosophy, was found at the end of the Vedas, in the 4th portion of the Vedas, it's the last, thinnest portion of the Vedas. Since it comes at the end, it is known as Vedanta. That knowledge is available at the end of the Vedas. So that's what we're studying. So I hope you are with me so far, and you're clear what is science, what is religion, the 3 aspects of religion, 2 of which are different for everybody, which is the ritual and the mythology, and the philosophy, which is the same across the board for all human beings. So let's start today with trying figuring out what these things are. What is philosophy? Study of life. What is life? It is defined in Sanskrit as Anubhava Dhara, a stream of experience. Life is nothing but all our experiences put together. One experience after another experience makes our life. So if all our experiences are good experiences, we say it's a good life. If all our experiences are bad experiences, we'll say it's a bad life. If we have lots of experiences, then we call it a dynamic life. If there are very few experiences, it'll be a dull, boring life. So what is life? It's nothing but our experience. Like a wall is nothing but one brick placed after another. So too our life is nothing but these experiences. So life is equal to experience. What are experiences made of? Experiences are made up of a subject, the individual, and the object, which is the world. So currently you are going through an experience. What is the experience you're going through? You are listening to a lecture. So there are 2 things. A lecture is going on and you're listening. This combination will make up that particular experience. For some people, it will be a very good experience. For some people, it will be a boring experience. For some people, it will be an educational experience. It's exactly the same experience for everybody, but it will be for everybody. The object is the same. The play of the subject will make it different for everyone. So what is life? It's made up of experiences. What is experiences? It is made up of subject and object. What is the role of science? The role of science is to attend to the object. What are all the objects of the world? We have nature. So what is science doing? It studies nature, it improves. Look at the amazing facilities, amazing thing. We may all be in different parts of the world, but we can communicate with each other. Amazing. Okay, so science studies nature. Science studies people. Things like politics, things like that. Study how people live, interact, move, and that also has been excellent. There was a time where power was in the hand of one person and he could just say off with his head and you'd have to die. From that stage, we have come now to hear how much progress we've made as a society. And the third aspect is money. So, science of money, the science of economics. So, science does what? It studies the object, and it's done a brilliant job. Absolutely brilliant job. Look at our amenities and facilities today. The richest king in the 17th century would not have so different a life from his poorest subject. And that king's life would be nothing compared to the average man today. It's the most fascinating thing how science has improved our life. But you know something? There's something even more fascinating. Though science has improved our lives so very much, in every way, we are way better off than anybody 200, 300 years ago. Everybody will agree with this. But can we say that even though science has improved our lives so much, we are that much happier as a people? Everything has improved around us. Everything. Yet, are we happier? Can we state, can we say, I am happier now with all these things that I have, my cell phone, my internet, everything that I have. I am happier than my grandfather, my great-grandfather used to be. Can anybody say that? It would be very debatable, isn't it? That would make us question, how is that even possible? How? How can we have so much and still not be happy? Because this is what Vedanta tells us. Because while science has done a wonderful job of improving the world, the individual, you and I, are totally neglected. It's almost as if we raised the mast of the ship, but kept the size of the ship, the hull is the same. So obviously it is going to topple. How can that be? So if you want to live in a better world, more dynamic world, we have to make ourselves more capable of living in that world. This world will present to us many more challenges than any other world before. All of you who are studying today, think about it. You're studying whatever you're studying. 10 years later, would that field be there? Forget your job in that field, but would that field itself be there? We don't know. But one thing we do know, that whatever you have made out of yourself, that will stay with you. Means whatever character you've built, whoever you are, the human being, that will stay with you forever. The study of that is Vedanta, the study of the individual. Making sure that I am capable of dealing with whatever my life has to show me. Making sure that I am able to make my way through all the challenges in the world. Whatever happens, I should be able to reach my goal. Many things will change, many things will happen, but I should be able to reach my goal. So, how do we do that? That's where the science comes in. That's where we understand that aspect of spirituality, which is so critical for each one of us to know. Since we have a short time, today we will do only the first principle. The first principle of right living, of living properly, is this: that whenever your body performs an action, remember, Vedanta is nothing but the study of our personality. So our body performs actions. These actions come from our mind, our manas. What does that mean? It means I like to do it, so I do it. I don't like to do it, so I don't do it, and things like that. The other way of acting, the body doing something, is I think it's the right thing to be done through the intellect. Okay, so when your body performs actions, these actions can come from the mind, which means manas, which means heart, which means likes and dislikes, whims and fancies, impulses, emotions, love, anger, greed, hate, jealousy, or can come from your discrimination, from your buddhi, from your head. So the principle is this: whenever the body performs an action, whenever, every action should come from the discrimination of your intellect, and no action should come from the whims and fancies of the mind. Whenever we perform an action, the action should come from the discrimination of the intellect, and no action should come from the whims and fancies. Take an example. You offer a sweet to a child, to a diabetic. You offer a sweet to a diabetic. The manas in him, the mind in him says, I want it, give it. The intellect in him says, no, this is not for you. So you know what will happen if he follows the mind, and what happens if he follows the intellect. When we don't do this in life, we just start saying, oh, I don't like this, I don't like that, and then leaving what we don't like and taking up what we like, solving problems, we solve problems like that. Oh, I'm very lonely by myself, so I want to get a spouse. And every youngster believes this. Oh, it's so boring to be alone, I want to get a spouse. So what do? They find somebody attractive and they jump straight into the marriage. And then what do? Every married person knows that. All this belief that I'll get married and all my problems will be solved. Every married person can tell you what really happens. This is the beginning, my friends. This isn't the end. So we solve problems by such processes that we merely create ourselves another problem. I don't know if you've heard the famous English fable about the horse and the stag. There was a story. The story goes that there was a horse and he was being troubled by the stag. The stag, he has big antlers, so the stag used to go poke the horse. And so the horse, he was being irritated by the stag. So he went running to man and said, oh man, please help me. The stag is poking me with his antlers and I can't do anything. So man said, what can I do? I don't have antlers. So stag said, no, but you have a brain, you have a head, so you please help me. Tell me what to do. Tell me how to do it. Get me out of this problem. So man said, okay, fine. Take me to the stag. And he jumped onto the horse's back and the horse took him to the stag. And the smart man was able to get rid of the problem of the stag. He got rid of the stag for the horse. The smart man got rid of the problem of the stag for the horse. But man never got off the horse's back again. So this way of solving problems is such that you solve a problem only to create yet another problem. Have you ever noticed that happening in your life? You solve problem X and only found now there's problem Y. So what do we need to do? Unfortunately, you can't respond, but I hope your answer is we need to use our head. The more we use our discrimination, the better we will get at handling the situations that come in front of us. If we choose not to use our head, we just make a bad situation much worse. A lot of people believe, when Vedanta says that you should use your intellect, they believe that Vedanta is against emotions in some way. It's not against emotions. Why would it be? We would be dead people if we didn't have emotions. We would be nothing if we didn't have emotions, like a stone or a rock. A plant does not have emotions. An animal has emotions, but acts on those emotions. Imagine if you leave your little puppy and go away for a holiday for a couple of days and come back, how excited that puppy will be to see you, isn't it? It's full of emotion. The dignity and grandeur of a human being is to have emotions, good emotions, but always function on the intellect. Always function on what is right. For instance, you've come home from your holiday, your puppy is so happy to see you. You may be just as happy to see the puppy as the puppy is to see you. And what does the puppy does? It jumps and it barks and it jumps on the furniture and it jumps on you and it starts licking and jumping and so excited, isn't it? You may be just as happy to see that puppy as that puppy is to see you. But do you behave like that? Well, if you do, at least don't tell us. So that is the difference. A animal feels and acts on those feelings. A human being feels but does what he knows to be right. What is the correct thing in that situation to do? So what is the first principle of right living? Is to always function on what you know is the right thing to do. And when you do that, life just starts getting better and better. And you say, okay, try to use my intellect, but I can't always. That's why you need to strengthen the intellect. Because if a little thing like me tries to hold Muhammad Ali, I can't hold him, right? So who will be able to hold that? Somebody who is strong enough, right? To make our intellect strong enough. And how do we make the intellect strong enough? By the study and reflection on Vedanta. It is the ultimate science of spirituality. I hope you do take up the study and build up your intellect and have a wonderful life ahead of you. Thank you. That's it from me today.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for such a wonderful and insightful talk. Really, we really enjoyed. And the examples which you gave was really बहुत ही अच्छे ढंग से explained. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. So now may I request Vivek sir to kindly take over for the closing remarks. Over to you, Vivek sir.
Thank you very much. And big thank you to Dr. Janki Santokh for such a brilliant, insightful talk. As always, I've heard you before and we have also interacted before, and this one was no less insightful. But the best part was the simplicity with which you explained it. And I think people would have appreciated and understood it that way. Because if we sometimes come with our own levels of intellect or others, then everybody may not understand, but you understood that very well. And the way you linked science of spirituality, defined science and spirituality, made it simple for us to understand. And right living, that first part of it that you mentioned, is so beautifully put, and how we should be as human beings and what we need to do. And of course, life is a series of experiences, and they have to be both good and bad. They cannot be all good, they cannot be all bad. Wonderfully put, I must say. We have one question, ma'am, before I give some more remarks of my own, and let's take these questions, maybe 2 questions, and then we can, you'd like to answer them. I'll just read them out for you. One of the viewers, Dr. Bharti Sharma, is saying that according to the etymology of shruti, as you mentioned, she says that shruti comes from what we hear. We do not memorize all, but it is left somewhere in our subconscious mind. That is how shruti and smriti are correlated, she says. How does shruti become eternal knowledge if we go only by the word itself? And the second part of the question I'll read after you answer that part, I think.
So shruti refers to hearing, and it refers to hearing the voice of your own conscience. It is the truth as it unfolds to you. And as it unfolds to you, you live by that. Now, why does that truth unfold? It is by reflection on the knowledge that we have heard. Today, knowledge has become like information gathering. So we are not able to implement any of the knowledge we have. But when we reflect upon it, we give it considered thought, we think it through completely. Just like you do science, right? You don't believe it, you don't follow it, you understand it completely. And when you are able to understand it, you will naturally execute right action. So what is the way to convert it to a living knowledge is by thinking about it, thinking deeply, giving it considered thought, and then the personality changes. Then you become the knowledge. You don't know the knowledge, you become the knowledge.
You become the knowledge. And Dr. Bharti has a supplementary question. In that case, she says, Bhagavad Gita, the Sandesh of the Gita, should it be considered as smriti for a common reader, but shruti for Arjun? Is that how we should consider it?
Very interesting. Bhagavad Gita is Shruti. The whole thing talks about eternal principles. But this is a very interesting thing about the Gita, really. Okay, so Shruti is eternal principles. It's the Bhagavad Gita's work to tell us that. However, this particular thing is very interesting because the conversation the Lord is having with Arjuna. So he's giving Arjuna instructions. He's saying, Arjuna, go fight this war. He's telling him that he's advising him to fight the war. So in that sense, it becomes Smriti literature because it's actually telling him what to do. And also he's telling him fight a war, which is not applicable to all people at all times. It's applicable only to Arjuna and people of that ilk. It's not applicable to us. If I have an old granny at home, I can't say, she asked me, what did you study in the Gita? I can't say, Krishna said, go fight the war. It's not applicable. So it's an interesting combination. Since Gita is expected to be Shruti literature, but is still giving some amount of Smriti brilliantly throughout the Gita, wherever Smriti is given, wherever instructions are given, he says so. He says, Iti me matam. This is me matam. This is my opinion. This is my prescription for you. And therefore, the rest of us who are listening it, please go and do that thing. Okay, so it's very interesting. So some people do refer to it as Smriti because of the instructions, but Krishna is so particular to tell us. It's an amazing thing, really, because it's one text which actually assume that it is Shruti. Whenever a matam is given, whenever an opinion is given, he'll tell you, this is my opinion. This is what I'm telling you. It's very, very interesting how the book is formulated.
Yes, and one question from Saurabh is there. Saurabh is saying, if we read any holy scripture and then meditate over its content, can this give us deeper knowledge of that scripture?
I don't know what you mean by the word meditate because it's a word that is used very lightly nowadays. Meditation means single-pointed concentration. You cannot meditate upon a scripture. The scripture prepares you for meditation. But if by meditation you mean don't just rush through the book, you're not trying to go through the book. The book has to go through us. So take any holy scripture and study it. Study it means 20% reading, 80% thinking. And if we follow that procedure, even a little bit of of that knowledge that we have actually imbibed, we've understood it, will convert our life in an amazing manner. We don't need a lot of information. We need a little bit of information and a lot of thinking, a lot of understanding, which comes out of thinking. As you apply yourself, as you apply considered thought, you reflect upon it, cogitate upon it, try and understand what's it trying to say. That knowledge will then come. So, not meditate. I prefer to use the word reflect, but if you like the word meditate, certainly, as long as the concept is clear, that you do it exactly like you do your science studies.
Very well answered. I think very well answered. I think Dr. Khosla may also have a question at the end, but one more question from the audience is there. Anil ji is asking it's very difficult for you to put it in a nutshell, but he's asking, can you please say what is Vedanta philosophy?
Vedanta philosophy in a nutshell is this: human minus desires is equal to God. God plus desires is equal to human. The whole process of spiritual growth is the process of removing desires. The method of removing desires is karma yoga for the body, which means working, selfless work, unselfish work for the welfare of all. Karma yoga. Bhakti yoga is devotion. Devotion means love for everybody. Devotion and love is no different. Devotion is the same love but directed to a higher thing. We love our spouse, we love our children, we love our pets, we love our house, but we are devoted to our parents, we are devoted to the country. The same love but directed to something higher. This is Bhakti Yoga. We inculcate Bhakti Yoga, a feeling of universal oneness. Because if you claim to love the Lord, how can you not love His creation? That's not possible, right? Even if you love a little child and he makes one very silly drawing, you love the drawing because you love the Creator. So Bhakti Yoga is expanding our hearts in universal unity. Jnana Yoga is the capacity of discrimination between what is eternal and what is past, what stays and what goes. The movie you want to see on the previous day of the exam, the joy of that movie will go. But the exam results are permanent. So a Jnana Yogi is one who can tell the difference between what is permanent and what is past. So removal of desires is the entire spiritual path. The methodology is Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga. When these desires come down with the application of this method, we become ready for meditation. Meditation means single pointed attention on one thought, just one thought, for the purpose of self-realization, which means for the purpose of finding that Godhood within. So when we sit finally in the state of meditation with only that one desire, all other desires you manage to remove, just this one desire, that I will merge with God or I will gain enlightenment, however, different religions have put it in different ways. Then finally, at that last moment, even the last desire drops off, and what remains is the spirit, is the self, is God. This is the entire knowledge of Vedanta.
Very beautifully explained in a very brief manner, but I think put it very clearly. Dr. Khosla, any comments from you before I close?
Well, I have very small observation or a comment. In Bhagavad Gita, many people interpret that way, that there is Karma Yoga, there is Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Dhyana Yoga. So through all the four paths, you can receive Him, you can reach Him. But the interpretation you gave, that ultimately you will, many people also give like that ultimately you will be reaching to the Dhyan Yoga where you will be one with, on one focus, one with, and everything achievable. First three are only the steps to go to the fourth. So I want to have some of your comments on this thing for my clarity.
Okay, so that let's define what we are saying. If we define meditation as concentrated concentration, as single pointed thought, then only does this hold true. So what is concentration? Concentrated concentration. Okay, what is concentration? When my intellect is able to keep my mind on a particular area, this is known as concentration. For instance, right now, for those listening to the lecture, their intellect keeps their mind on the lecture. This is concentration because it's on an arena, it's on an area. But when we apply that ability to a single thought, it becomes meditation. It's not on an area, just on a single thought. It is the difference between shooting on a board but shooting bullseye. So if we are not able to shoot on the board, where is the chance of bullseye? Isn't it? So therefore, we have to become capable of shooting on the board, capable of concentration. Now, what's the difficulty in concentration? I doubt that there would have been a single person in this entire audience who was able to concentrate on everything. Why can't we concentrate? Because the mind is rushing from here to there. And why is the mind rushing from here to there? Because of our desires. So as long as there are too many desires, the mind will be forced to run to them. Even as you're sitting here, somebody is thinking, oh my God, where did I leave my car keys? Somebody is thinking, oh my God, the next meeting is starting. I hope these people finish fast. So many things are going on. So when we cannot concentrate on the entire board, we cannot concentrate on meditation. How do you train yourself to concentrate on the whole thing? When the level of desires comes down. How does the level of desires come down? Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga. So therefore, Karma, Bhakti, Jnana leads to meditation.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. And I think very well said. And Dr. Khosla's question also came very pointedly. But I think we all are in agreement with the thoughts. And as you very wonderfully put it, Dr. Janki, it was basically there is one truth, there is one goal, and there are different paths. And you very well explained it in the beginning that the ailment may be one, but the prescriptions may be different, and different doctors will give it at different times. And you also said that certain things are relevant only for our era, and they may not have been relevant before, may not be relevant in the future. However, the truth is one. Our purpose of organizing these webinars, and this is the first in its series, is basically to discuss and find out various thoughts on the one truth. And therefore, to listen to a speaker like you has been a privilege and pleasure, because you've given the insight into something which can be practically done. These are not thoughts which will remain in books and volumes and tomes of printed literature and never come out in the open. These are thoughts which can be applied in our daily life. And when you say that removal of desire is the ultimate path, is the only way, it is the same that our guru, which we follow, Paramahansa Yogananda ji, Dr. Khosla and I both follow him. He is of the same way, the same path. His lessons are similar, and all great religions and paths say the same thing. Just a little bit more about what we are trying to achieve. So the teachings of Yogananda ji are basically practical how to live teachings. And again, they are teachings which can be applied in our daily lives. And he said, you may be a monastic, you may be a householder, you may be a karam yogi, a volunteer, a seva pradhan kind of life. you can reach God. And to reach God, again, you have to qualify in a way to improve yourself from within, wherever you are, wherever He has placed you. You need not become a monk and sit on a mountain top or under a tree and meditate solely. And I will illustrate with one story which I have heard from our Swamiji from this path. There was a monk who used to sit under a tree and meditate outside a village. And the villagers used to come and give him food or pray before him and bow before him and go back. He would keep meditating. They hardly saw him sleeping or eating. One man goes to him and says, Swamiji, you have a very expensive diamond, I came to know. Can you give me that diamond? Now the Swamiji takes out the diamond from the jhola and gives him the diamond. He says, yes, you may take it. So this man is quite astounded, flabbergasted, almost shocked. He goes back home. He spends a week with the diamond. He comes back with the diamond after a week to the monk. He says, Swamiji, I don't need this diamond. You take it back. He says, why isn't it an expensive diamond? Didn't you need it? He says, yes, it is very expensive. My family and many generations would have become rich had I had this diamond with me and sold it or whatever. But I don't want this diamond. I want that which made you give me this diamond without flinching, without thinking, without hesitation. I want that. Now the Swamiji obviously has something greater than the diamond, then he can give it. And that something is obviously the inner peace, the inner battle. He knows that his next meal will come from somewhere, he doesn't need diamonds. But that kind of level can come through great hard work and great perseverance. We will continue to hold such webinars. We are coming to the close of this one. Our Bible in this path that we follow for Yogananda ji is the autobiography of a yogi and his lessons. Many of the listeners may want to know more about them. We will place the website and send it to you. If you want to know more about Dr. Janki's teachings and her classes and her book, you can also contact us and we will forward your request to her. And we will also, Dr. Janki, if you like, you can type out your email or whatever contact you like on the box. Otherwise, Prerna Bhagwat, you will do it. And if you have any...
in today's well-connected world, it's very easy. It's there on all the social media. The website is there. No problem. You can reach me anyway. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So thank you very much. And it is a pleasure for me to have been able to host this along with Dr. Prerna Bhagwat, who is the coordinator of the center. Dr. P.K. Khosla, his idea it was to set it up. I am extremely privileged to be chairing this Yogananda Center for Theology. We will continue to be in touch with you, Dr. Janki. We will be in touch with all the attendees and everybody who joined in. Once again, a warm word of thanks to Dr. Khosla and Dr. Janki especially. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Namaskar.
Everyone.